Send Out Cards Saturday training. I'm Janine Bolon, and thank you for joining us, whether you're listening to this live or you are listening to the recording. Several of you have jobs during Saturday mornings and are unable to come live. And I just wanted to say thank you so much. I've received all your emails and you're constantly giving me, cheerleading. Keep going, Janine. I'm learning a lot from you, even though I'm not there. And so, as a podcaster, you never know who is listening. You just kind of hope that people are actually downloading and listening to podcast shows. And it was lovely to hear from you. So, even if you are unable to attend these live, let me know if you're getting value from the recordings, because as long as I hear from you, then I know to keep going. Okay, so that's fine with me. All right, so I wanted to start us off with a little bit of a joke today. A priest, a rabbit, and a minister walk into a bar, and the bartender asks the rabbit, "What do you have?" And the rabbit says, "I don't know. I'm only here because of autocorrect." I don't know about you, but I have had so many situations where autocorrect was the reason for something silly to happen. And I just wanted to share just a little bit of a joke with you guys this morning. I saw this, I started laughing. I actually wrote an article 3 years ago called a priest, a rabbi, and a Mormon walk into a bar. And it was a coffee bar, of course, but I wrote an article on that. And a friend of mine sent this to me and said, "Janine, remember that article?" So I just wanted to share with you a little bit of lighthearted giggle for this morning as we move on. I also wanted to say thank you to the many people who nominated me as a woman of influence. Denver, Colorado Luxury Magazine reached out to me. They normally submit this in December, but because of COVID and all the challenges, the magazine wasn't able to do the photo shoots until January. And I just wanted to say that there's several people who nominated me that are part of the Send Out Card crowd, and I just wanted to say thank you. Also, because of this, I'm going to use this as an example as we go through how to handle card sending, doing custom cards, so that you can promote yourself without being up in somebody's face. We're going to do this on the back of a card. Okay? So you have a lot of choices on where to be and what to do with your business. And those choices can sometimes send you off little pathways that are productive, sometimes not so productive. And so I want to help you today kind of get started in a framework of, is this helping me make money? And with Send Out Cards, the answer is almost always yes. If you are sending cards, you are doing follow-up for your business, whether your business is itself Send Out Cards or if your business is something else. For me, the business was something else. And so Send Out Cards is a part of that follow-up, part of staying top of mind with people. And so I just wanted to share with you, if you're sending cards, you're doing an activity that is helping you make money. Okay, the other thing I wanted to share with you is a lot of times we get really worked up on what's happening with our lives. Are we achieving our goals? And we use money as a marker as to whether or not we are successful. And I would like to kind of bust that balloon for a bit, especially with business owners. If you're not making a profit, you're not in business. If you're not making money, you're not in business. We have that a lot in our heads. And so I just wanted to share with you, take a breath this weekend. This weekend, sit back. We're about ready to hit spring. And when we get into the spring, it's a whole new world, right? There's a whole level of activity that comes to us. And I just wanted to share with you, this is the time right before we move into spring and we have the time change and all that kind of stuff, to take a few moments and go, am I on track with what I wanted to accomplish this year? And I'm always in awe when I look back at my vision board and I see, oh my goodness, I am right on point, or I'm further ahead, or there have been some years where I wasn't able to take a check mark on anything. However, I was happier, or I finally got that exercise program down, or something like that. So take a few moments and find out if your life is successful. And I wanted to let you know, if you're sending cards, your life is successful. I don't care if it's only a card a day or 3 cards a week. Your life is successful because you know what? You're sharing a hug through the mail. You're sharing a smile through the mail when you send those cards. I also wanted to remind you that tomorrow is Sunday, and that is the day when I plan out my week. And if you guys taken any of my training, you know how important it is that I sit down and I figure out what my work week is going to look like. Now, this is a very simplistic version of how my work week looks, But it kind of lets you know that I use a lot of segments. I use segments of time for things. And people will ask me how I'm able to do it all. And I'm like, well, that's because I'm not doing it all the time. There are certain days for certain things that I do. And some people would say, but I would be bored out of my mind. And I said, please realize that just because you're busy doesn't and you don't feel bored doesn't mean that you're actually moving forward on your goals and the things that you want to do in your life. It is through the structure of activity that you're able to really be competent and get a level of mastery on your business, basically, so that you are able to make enough money so you can keep creating. So when it comes to the creatives that I seem to attract, the business owners that are highly creative with send out cards, it's important that you set up some sort of structure. It doesn't have to look like this, but if you notice, Monday through Friday, my morning routines are pretty much locked in. And I do that on purpose because I have established a morning routine that always lifts me up. Even when I wake up feeling pretty rough, feeling kind of down, maybe I lost a contract, or, just being a human being on planet Earth, my morning routine will help rev me up for the rest of the day. And then, of course, I have the other options that I go into. I've talked about it a lot last week in last week's training. The other thing that I wanted to kind of touch base with today was not only that Sunday is coming, so please, sit down with yourself and figure out how you want your work week to look for the following week, but I also want you to focus on doing only, unless you're brand new and you have zero contacts or connections, unless you're brand new to this business, that if you've been doing this for a while, I'd like you to start focusing on networking once a week. One day a week, you're going to network with people and you're going to get as many people's addresses and contact information as you can. I highly recommend, my upline is the co-host to Australia for the Happy Neighborhood Project. This is a wonderful way to network with people and to find out what they're doing. You're broken out into breakout rooms on Zoom. Everybody chats. Everybody's given 2 minutes to talk about what they do, and then you connect. And of course, the power is when you connect after the meeting, right? What you do as far as your follow-up is what really helps increase the number of people that you know. It really is a good time to send good mail because people are still very much engaged with life and they feel spring coming, but they're not quite able to get out and about yet. And so that's one of the things that I recommend, that having cards being sent to people in their mailboxes is great. So as you know, every week I committed to you guys last year that I would always tell you where I stood with my addresses, hold me accountable. And so April of 2020, almost exactly a year ago, we're coming up on that anniversary, I had 289 addresses. And using the systems that I'm teaching you, I am now, as of today, I got a new address this morning. I had to add it really quickly before I took the screenshot. I'm at 608. So I was up by 12. Why? Because I had 3 networking events that I attended, not by my own design. I was invited to them to speak. And so I got a bunch of new addresses because I tell people when I speak, please put your address in the chat, and I then make sure that I send them a card. Also, the number of return addresses that I'm getting is starting to slow down. I only got one card back this week in the mail that I need to update. But keep track of these guys. Don't throw them away. Snap a picture of them and then text or Facebook message or LinkedIn Connect with your contact and say, hey, what happened? What did I do wrong? Find out what's going on in their life. This is yet another way to get on a Zoom call with them or a phone call. How many addresses have you asked for? This is important. How many people have you reached out and said, hey, I'd like your address? And then don't worry if they don't get back to you. Just keep asking for addresses, and eventually you'll get all the people's addresses that you want to stay in your life. It'll be awesome. This is from website janinebolon.com/my articles. So when you click on the articles, you're going to see a whole range of articles up there. What I wanted to focus on was the article called Can't Get on Zoom. That article is basically a help sheet to it's a video as well as a tip sheet that you can download and print off anytime you struggle to get on Zoom or things aren't working with the tech as far as your computer. Give that a look-see. It'll solve probably 90% of the issues that we're having in the tech world. One of the questions that folks had, they're like, okay, Janine, how do I go about making the back of cards like you do? I love what you do. Well, believe it or not, there is a way. As a business owner, I always make sure that my business is somehow highlighted on the back. So let's say I'm writing another business owner and I just want to give them a little bit of encouragement. They're having kind of a rough week or something. So I have a lot of pre-made cards. So one of my favorites is, "This is your company, run it your way." Enough said. A lot of times people get very upset with the advice they're given. So on this side, I would put some pictures of something fun, depending upon the person. I have a lot of stock images I use. And then I'd write just a quick, "I hope you're doing really well." My cards always have a default back. And this is where the folks were like, "Well, how do you go about doing this?" Well, when I first was highlighted as a woman of influence by Denver, Colorado luxury magazine, I said, I quickly just got the images and put that on the back as a default. Then I went to Canva and I built a much nicer backing. And so I thought I'd use that as an example today to show you exactly how you do this. You go to your layouts and you ask for a solid image. You click on that image, and uh, like I said, was on Canva, and and this image is the one that I liked better. So it shows, you know, the honor that I was given, as well as the my website and my phone number so people can get a hold of me. This is what we call passive marketing. I don't want to get up in somebody's face. If they look at the back of the card, fine. If they don't, no problem. But it's just one of those things where just want to let them know, look, I'm really excited about what's going on in my business and a lot of cool stuff is happening. So how do I make this my default? Well, what you do is you go down here to the very left-hand bottom corner and you hit that save button, and it's saving it, and that will now be my default when I open up any additional card. This will be the back that's the default. I change the back every time I have a new podcast that I'm on, or any type of thing where if somebody's asked me to speak or something like that, I put that on the back. It's up to you. If you have a business that's outside of send out cards, put your contact information, your website there on the back. Most of the time, people have no problem with that. I have sent over 6,000 cards as of now, and what I find fascinating is that I only had one person ask me to stop sending them cards. So, for the most part, people tell me they love what's on the back of those cards. So that will help answer that aspect of today of how do you go about customizing the back of your cards. I'll open it up to the live questions today now.